members of the Conservation Commission present: Melissa Danza, Skip Clark, Jared Gentilucci, and Peter Crane. I am calling the February 2nd meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. So let's begin by reading the minutes. Everybody read them? I know you all watched me read them.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments, questions, corrections? Hearing none. Roll call. Gentilucci.
Aye.
Danza.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Well, that was fast and easy. So now it's not a hearing, so we're going to begin our discussion for the RDA for 10 Rod Road. John, I see you're here. It's good to talk to you again.
Good evening, everybody.
So this is was there actually a plan submitted as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Here, okay, good, because I just haven't been down there yet. Because you're adding a deck. No, you're replacing a deck with a 3-season porch. That's what it is. 3 or 4-season porch.
Correct.
All right, and if I recall correctly, the edge of the work is approximately 80 feet from the edge from DEP's map of the wetlands.
Correct.
So, does the commission have any questions or comments?
I'm all set on this one. I think we've been over it pretty well at the last meeting.
Good, okay. Jared, Skip, anything?
Nope, I'm good.
No, I'm good too, Peter.
Okay, so how do we want to rule? Before we start the motion, let's just talk about how we're going to rule on it. So I guess, is it actually subject, is it subject to jurisdiction?
So what we'll probably be checking off would be a negative, I think it's C or D, and that the for this, I would say we're more towards the work, not the area, because the area is jurisdictional, but the work will not alter a resource area in a strictly buffer zone, so a notice of intent isn't required.
Okay.
I think my only question for the commission would be if we just want to have them put in erosion controls, but I think there's not really going to be much sediment that's coming up with these.
Well, I'll tell you what, let me see if I can bring up the darn window. There we go, and I'll bring you over here. So we'll bring it up and we'll look at the slope of the land.
There's going to be no excavation work. It's going to be those tubes that are going to go straight in.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be basic. There isn't disturbance other than a truly trivial amount that comes up just by screwing into the ground.
Exactly.
So that should do that. And now wait for wetlands to show up, and that way I'll know the map is ready. There we go. Okay. So it is certainly not very steep. It's a 10-foot drop across this roughly 80-foot section. In fact, it's on the order of. That's what I'll say. We don't have a tight measurement of it. So Melissa, do you think that makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we do need to find out what the right thing is that we're voting on, if that's B or C.
If I could add something for you, the surface or the grade where the existing structure is goes out past where the structure is, and then it drops down, and then it shoots out.
So how far is it to the drop?
It's quite a drop.
No, but how far away from the edge
from
of the work
drop?
area is the drop?
Sure. I would have to say, conservatively guessing, maybe 6, 7 feet.
Yeah, that's not a huge way, but I see what you're saying.
Right.
Um,
Like I said, we're just gonna go straight down with the posts.
Tamika, do we have the form for this kind of handy for the response?
So it's negative number 3. The work described in the request is within the buffer zone as defined in the regs, but will not alter an area subject to protection under the act. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of an NOI subject to the following conditions, if any.
Perfect. Then I'd like a motion, please, for a negative determination of applicability for reason 3.
And
Do
Peter,
I still have to sign
sign.
everything? What's that?
Yes, I've gotten everything out to the registry, but unfortunately we haven't gotten what we need back yet.
We haven't heard it back yet. So
You've
with
not.
allowing me to sign on behalf of the commission.
So moved.
Second.
Whoever gets it. Roll call. Gentilucci,
Aye.
Danza,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Crane, aye. You are set. We'll get that paperwork to you this week, I expect. At least we'll get it in the mail, and our part will be done.
All right. Well, I thank the commission very much for its time and appreciate it very much. Have a nice
Very
evening.
welcome. Have a great night.
John?
You as well. Yes.
Oh, no, I was just saying bye.
Oh, bye-bye. Thanks.
All right, let's close that one. And now it's time to continue the hearing for the notice of intent for Mark and Mary Elbag at 26 Finn Park Road. Mark isn't here tonight, but we do see that this is the paperwork that he sent to DEP. Have we heard for sure?
Yes, Denise replied. She said that this was acceptable. They did issue a number and there were no comments.
Oh, that's all great news. And considering that it's all done, do we have any other questions or comments before we close this hearing? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Danza,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Gentilucci,
Aye.
Crane, aye. Give me just a second. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I couldn't get to mute fast enough. Okay, so do we have any special orders for this one?
I don't believe we discussed any.
I don't remember us talking about any, but you know, it is 14 feet from the wetland and the work is complete. So do we want to put in a possible condition he can't meet on there since he's not here for us today? Okay, then I'll take a motion to sign our standard order of conditions for this project, allowing me to sign on behalf of the commission.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Clark,
Aye.
Danza,
Aye.
Gentilucci,
Aye.
Crane, aye. Wow, this is great.
Peter, quick question. Mark had asked about the certificate of compliance. So I don't know how you guys want to handle that. If there's a certain amount of time you want to wait before, I don't know, maybe he records the orders. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, we didn't see it in a finished state, and we're not going to see it in a finished state until springtime. So it's not that I demand that we wait a certain amount of time, but we do need to see the finished work.
Sure.
So
I'll just tell him we'll set something up for the spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll just do a quick walk, say, and see what we see, and more than likely we'll be ready. It'll be ready for COC.
But still make sure he records the order, Tamika.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. I will remind him of that.
Okay. Now for our list of discussion points. So let's start with the original or an original email. There was a sudden release of fuel oil at 90 River Road. 250 gallons, more or less. They've all been notified. Everybody's been notified. And because it's close enough to a wetland, prepared an attached emergency certification form. Is that this one? Nope. But that's a nice little locus right there.
And Peter, if I may, I did notice
Yes.
that Adam is on the call as well.
Oh, hi, Adam. How you doing today?
Good evening, Peter. Doing well, thank you.
Great. I know I saw. Oh, there's the form. Right. This is just saying there's work to be done. And the fact, has it finished yet?
It hasn't finished yet. It has started.
Okay.
We've conducted targeted excavation right beneath the oil tank to help determine the magnitude of the release, as well as what has been impacted. We did find that the contamination goes down to the water table.
Wow, really?
It does. The water table is relatively shallow. It's about 6 feet beneath
Right.
the oil tank. The area that the test pit was conducted in is approximately 100 feet from the shoreline of the unnamed pond that's shown on the map. And the expectation that the excavation activities will need to extend beneath the mobile home that's present.
Mm-hmm.
So steps are being taken to remove the mobile home to facilitate further excavation.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are you
Peter,
concerned that oil may have gotten into the actual nearby receptors?
we've inspected the shoreline on a few occasions and have not identified any evidence of fuel oil impacts. Granted, the last site visit, there were several inches of snow on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and the pond was frozen, so it wasn't an unobscured view of the shoreline.
Right.
At this point, we don't know whether or not it has reached the pond. We don't see any evidence that it has. As part of the mitigating measures, installed erosion controls between the work area and the pond. There are straw wattles that have been installed, as well as a silt fence, approximately 300 linear feet of erosion controls.
Okay. Okay. So first to the commission, questions or comments? Y'all can see me scanning through this emergency certification. Hearing nothing, are there any special conditions the commission thinks we should apply to this?
Adam, do you have to do like specific final reporting to Mass DEP for this in terms of the wetland side of things?
Not for the wetland side of things. For the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup side of things, we do. The Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup governs the spills of oils and hazardous materials. So we do have some regulatory filings that are necessary for the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup.
I guess my only recommendation would just being copied on, final reports or changes in scope throughout the project.
Right.
All right, those can be provided. The first document that we received from Mass DEP is referred to as a notice of responsibility, which was issued to the property owner, informing them of the obligation to address the release. And I can share that with you.
Great. That can just be emailed to conservation@townofrutland.org and we can file it appropriately.
All right, I'll follow up with that.
So what are the reporting obligations to the Bureau?
The first set of reports that need to be filed, or filings that are necessary with the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup, are the release notification form and the immediate response to action plan or completion statement. Both of those are due within 60 days of Mass DEP being notified of the release. So that would mean by roughly March 14th, give or take a few days.
Right. This says work may not be authorized beyond 30 days. Is that going to be enough, especially with the snow on the ground? The ground frozen?
We didn't encounter that much frost when we excavated the test pit, surprisingly. But it has been cold since then, and we may encounter some frost that we need to deal with. So 30 days may or may not be enough time. I don't know that it will be enough time. My sense is that we're going to need more time than that.
That's a matter of talking through the DEP, so I'm not going to get in the way. So if you would just CC us on reports and meaningful dialogue with the DEP, so we can just stay in touch.
All right.
And I think, yep. All righty. Is there a good reason to not sign this emergency certification? Hearing nothing, I'll take a motion to sign this, allowing me to sign on behalf of the entire commission.
So moved, Peter.
Second.
So roll call. Danza,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Gentilucci,
Aye.
Crane, aye. We have, so that's all set. You'll sign off just like, as I said to the last gentleman, we'll get this to you as soon as we can get it printed and signed and in the mail to you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Good luck.
You as well. Thank you.
Hi, Adam. Thank you.
That is 90 River Road. So, Glenwood Place, there is no follow-up. Whoa, I did not mean to do that. I have no follow-up to Glenwood Place yet. I still haven't been out. I've been working too much and I just don't have time. And then the snow fell. So I don't know when we're going to be able to get out there to make a rational assessment. Clearly the snow is going to have to go away and we might have to wait for thaw so we can get some idea about what the ground really looks like when water flows. But we'll make that determination when the time is right. For now, we'll just continue this along. I'm not sure we want to see this every week, every meeting, I should say. So why don't we put a pin in this for a month and we'll revisit this at the first meeting in March. Okay, Tamika?
You got it.
Other questions or comments? Okay. Moving on. Emerald Road Lot 2. So we got an email that the new owner of this lot would like to clear a bunch of trees. He said clear the whole property. I said, well, let's talk about that. So I brought up the plan that we approved, and for clarity, this is the wetlands line. We know that. And we know that's 50 feet, so 100 feet. Oh, there's the 100-foot line right there. Do you remember, what was the man's name who talked to us, Tamika? Do you remember, or sent us email?
Hold on 1 second.
I was about to go there myself.
Yep. His name is Tom Severance.
That's right. So Tom didn't make it tonight. I haven't heard from him that he wasn't going to be here, but I don't know that he was going to be, that he...
No, he did email to say that he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. So I did let him know I'd follow up with him if any decisions were made.
Okay. So what I can say is, hold on now, I need to go back to this. Any trees removed upland of this 100-foot wetland line, he's free to do whatever he wants. Because, well, the Conservation Commission has no jurisdiction over those trees, if there are any even left. There probably might be some over here, but that's, I don't know. But anything further than that, we're going to have a discussion. And in fact, we need a discussion with him, because I told him basically how much we need to be involved and how much we need to know is going to depend upon where the trees are and what he plans to do with stumps, and where everything is with respect to the wetlands. So if he's talking about clearing his whole property, that's going to be a no-no. If he's talking about clearing up to the wetlands, well, then we can have a discussion depending upon whether or not he wants to stump. But I think we need more discussion with him with respect to this map, so we can all understand what he's thinking of doing, and therefore what filing, if any, he needs to make with the commission. Anybody think I just said anything wrong?
No, that's about right.
Well then, any other questions or comments?
Peter, did you get any specifics as to area of trees to be removed, number of trees, anything like that?
I can, no specifics at all.
Okay.
Give me a second, I can actually pull up the email.
I'm assuming it would be tree clearing that's beyond what has already been approved through this plan and the order of conditions that we issued.
I would assume so as well.
Okay.
Tamika, did you file that? Oh, right there. No, that's where I won't be able to attend, but if I do.
No, I don't believe I filed Tom's email, because we had gotten that kind of last minute.
There it is.
You got it? Okay.
So, wait. Yes, I also, as you can see, thanked him for calling us, for asking us questions before just going out and cutting the world. So let's see if I can. Why can't I change? Oh, there's the Zoom way over here. Let's see if that'll make this readable. Da, da, da. Next step in getting my land cleared. So that is the limit of my information. Actually, was there anything more in his other email, Tamika? Oh, hold on. I think there is more.
Yes, there is.
Oh, he flagged the trees are within the, okay. Oh, I see. He just wants to remove the trees that he flagged. I think that's all within our current orders, isn't it?
I would think so. I think, yeah, as long as it's within the limit of work, then, you know, thank you for reaching out. We'll note it, but that should be okay.
But no filing is required.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like the order covers this, right? If I'm reading this correctly.
I
Yeah.
believe it does, based on what he said here.
I'd say just get that confirmation from Norman, and, you know, as long as it is within that limit of work, then I don't have anything against it.
Nope, absolutely. So Tamika, do you want to write that up or do you want me to?
No, I can take care of that.
Okay, great. You understand the points to make?
I'm sorry, what's that?
You understand the points to bring up?
Yes.
Everything's before, you know.
And what would is there something in writing you would like me to get from Norman to confirm
No,
that?
because we already have the plan. What we need is confirmation that all the trees are upland of the erosion controls.
Got it.
And if that's true, then everything, that work has been considered and conditioned by the Conservation Commission. So just don't let the trees fall into the wetlands.
Okay. I will get back to him.
That's awfully glib of me to say it that way, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I'll put it in the right way.
Thank you. All righty. I'm happy to get something off our list. So now, permitting inquiry for the Molten Dam Pond and Palmagussit Road works. So,
So Peter, he had emailed, I think yesterday, saying that he couldn't come this evening, but wanted to discuss it with us at the next meeting.
Okay,
But I
great.
left it on there just in case you wanted to just introduce everybody to what the conversation was.
Right. So, I sort of briefly introduced this last time, where Route 56, which is Palmagussit Road, crosses very near, crosses over a spillway from the Molten Pond Dam. As you're driving north on Palmagussit, just past the rail trail, the dam is on your right. The spillway goes underneath and downhill and towards the, what's that building called? Well, it doesn't matter. So over time, it originally had been thought that these two sets of work, the road work and the dam work, would be done at the same time and with the same money, but that didn't happen. So they've been split into two projects. But now the state has taken over the funding for the whole thing. And we did an order of conditions for the dam and the spillway in 2018, if memory serves, and there is now a change to that plan, and so they want to discuss the paperwork necessary to move forward, whether the changes they're doing are a simple amendment to the NOI and the orders, or if there's something more complicated. I said that I didn't feel comfortable making that decision by myself, so we should have a discussion with the entire commission. This is not going to discuss this road work at all. It will only discuss this project we have already conditioned. Although, being a 3-year, he's only got a year left. If they don't get moving, they're not going to get done within the 3 years. So there may also be an extension as well to this, we'll see. So that's in very brief strokes what we're talking about for this. So hopefully next time we'll be here, we'll just keep this on the agenda and move along. Questions or comments?
You're telling me it's going to take me another month to understand what the heck they're trying to say again?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Got it.
That's before you get enough information to maybe be able to understand it.
That took us a while just to figure out what they were proposing with the weir and everything in the first place. So
right.
It'll be interesting to see what the new proposal is.
Mm-hmm. I believe that the new proposal actually reduces the impact. I don't think it increases it at all. So that's a nice amendment. I like that change. I'm still waiting to see what happens when people start raising a stink, because some people want that dam gone. But the one thing we can say for certain is that dam must be repaired. This is on one of those fix it now lists from the group that actually does dam evaluation. So it's pretty bad. Anything else on that one? Nope. All right. Now let's go to Bryce Lemon Estates. So when last we discussed this, which was not at the last meeting, but at the meeting before, there were discussions about water on property and who has responsibility for what. And I had committed to get the list of engineers who have reviewed this project. So very briefly, Jim Callick, who is now retired, was the original engineer. It was reviewed by the Conservation Commission by Quinn Engineering. In addition, Luke's Environmental supplied an environmental impact report. Here, let me turn on my camera so you can see. I'm sure Melissa and Jared have seen plenty of these, but there's my video. So this is the environmental impact report. This is not the most recent version. I haven't found that one yet in the office, but I'm sure it's there. Let's see. So Conservation Commission wrote orders of conditions based upon other things, Quinn's review and the environmental impact report. It then got appealed and the DEP did their superseding order of conditions. They did not perform an engineering review. They considered our review, that's the Conservation Commission's review, sufficient. Supplemental impact report. Yes, yes, yes. They still need water quality. Yes, yes, yes. That's now long finished. There's actually a new stormwater and hydrology report in 2019 that I haven't seen. But I can also get that from DEP when they get back into the office. Since that meeting, there's also at the last planning board meeting, Clee talked to several of the residents who have also spoken here. He committed to get it done. He talked briefly about how he's planning to do with it, and basically it's extend one of the swales that comes down the hill to extend that swale all the way to the street where the water can hopefully expectedly flow into the stormwater system. And he's also talking about an infiltrator further down the hill or some other structure in order to capture water and get it moving off people's property. That is, I believe, the most recent information that I have. Are there questions from the commission or comments?
Peter, do you know if through the review process with the planning board, was there a peer review done on behalf of the planning board as well?
They review things, but they don't review stormwater and water flow. They don't do hydrology.
Okay.
And the only grades that they have regulatory influence over is grades of streets. Okay. There is no planning board authority to regulate or set rules of any sort for the grade of individual lots. Or even, well, there actually, I take it back, there is another, they could actually regulate the grade of open space. There's a maximum grade that's allowed.
I thought they did have regulations for the subdivision approval that talked about stormwater, and I thought that was, I pulled out the regs when I sent it to David George, just regarding the, hold on, let me see if I can find it. I think there's some sort of stormwater regulations within the planning board subdivision rules and regs.
There is some, but really they leave it to the DEP to do, because in fact, there was a review by Weston and Sampson, but they did not have a hydrology or stormwater report to review. So they were never given that. They reviewed only for water and sewer hookups, connection to the municipal systems.
Okay.
That is one of those areas that is in a fuzzy regulatory space as to who owns it. And if you were to ever try and read the town of Rutland stormwater bylaw, you would understand how fuzzy it is.
Yeah, because section 6, design standards of this planning board subdivision approvals, has section E is stormwater management, and it does talk about design regarding the stormwater in terms of impediment and slopes and minimum drain pipe sizes and catch basins. And I think there was something about the applicant can propose country drainage, but wasn't something that necessarily the planning board would allow, only in certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not convinced the planning board ever really read through any of the stormwater or MS. MS4 is municipal separate sewage and stormwater system. And so irrespective of our local regs, what I will say is that the federal EPA has revised their MS4 requirements far more recently than the planning board wrote and has modified the, certainly wrote the subdivision regulations. So one would expect that in order to get all the permits that they need, irrespective of the planning board's statements, that they would have to meet the federal and the state, and there are separate requirements for those, all of those regs, and they are substantial. So that's just a long-winded way to say, I don't know that they even looked at it. And I don't know that they didn't. I don't want to make it sound like they didn't, because I don't know that. Anything else from the commission? We have a hand raised, Mr. Maintenance.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Lot 50, or sorry, 51 Woodside, lot 40. My house is actually one of the lots that's impacted by this. Obviously, I've been paying attention to all these meetings and whatnot, and I know Clee had presented a solution. Frankly, I'm not excited about the solution because it actually is going to take away from my lot. I'm actually going to lose space in my lot, and it's a terrible looking design in my opinion, increasing the swale all the way down between my yard and my neighbor's yard. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but my question was Clee also had mentioned a swale going up behind my house to direct water that was running through the swale and down into my backyard. And my question, I guess, would be, are you guys planning to do some type of peer review or hire some type of engineer to actually make sure that this new swale that he's proposing isn't going to further impact the individuals, here that live, within the subdivision, and including the 4 other houses downgrade from my house that I'm sure you've seen plenty of pictures and videos on. So I guess, that I think will have a long-term impact here on those other lots, and potentially the lots that are going to go into phase 5 of, Bryce Lemon Estate. So there's a cul-de-sac behind my house that might be directly impacted from all this drainage, this issue that we're having here with water. So I guess I just wanted to, see if you had, any information, or if you can comment on that. And, I just think that some further review might be recommended, some professional review, rather than just winging it here.
Well, I was at the same meeting you were at, and I heard everything that he said. And I haven't seen a plan, so I don't know how to comment on something. I gave the information as I understood it to be, but until we see, one assumes that they are going to have to modify the stormwater plan to meet, in order to implement the changes they're talking about. And so at that point, when we see those modifications, then we can evaluate those at that point. Doing it,
I understand.
No, I'll just stop there without saying more. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I understand. I guess, I know, that's all we're kind of really looking for. It just, again, it's pretty, I know you can't say this, but it's pretty apparent that no one reviewed it to begin with. And I don't mean to speculate or jump to conclusions, but it certainly appears that way. It just feels like this wasn't looked, at hard enough in depth here, because it's, because of the direct impact that we're having here. Honestly, if it was reviewed properly, it shouldn't look like this at all. So, that's just my opinion. Again, I'm no expert, but my thought would be that it might be worth, the review of hiring somebody to take a deep look at this, just in my opinion. And obviously, the folks here that live in the subdivision would greatly appreciate it.
Mhm. Well, Conservation and Planning Board are in fairly frequent contact. As you've seen, I'm at virtually every planning board meeting as well. So we will stay in touch about this. And when a plan comes forth, we'll know what to do. Planning board will make sure we get a copy. Are there other questions or comments? Hearing nothing, we will wrap up Bryce Lemon for now and move on to the conservation restriction from Maple Hill Estates. Everybody remember this? What fun we had for a few weeks putting this together or modifying the one that they gave us. So first I'm going to try and show, no, not that one, not yet. That's the wrong document. Let's instead show this one, I think. Okay, so through the town administrator, we got a response for the legal review, and this is the email. Part will actually go through the document that they sent, the red lines document that they sent us. So starting at the beginning, I see that this conservation restriction has been required to require the owner to obtain town's prior written consent before exercising any of the reserved rights. Of course, if the owner has a history of non-compliance, such oversight may be appropriate. Otherwise, it would be unusual for the town to reserve such control, as the permitted activities are intended to allow the owner to make some use of the property without seeking the town's approval at every instance, especially since the owner must send written notice of the proposed activity to the town and wait 60 days for the town to respond before undertaking the permitted activities. So they gave us a list of these things. So I guess my first question to the commission, philosophically, are we interested? Here, let me actually pull up the CR. So this is 2B, such as 2B123. So if I go to section 2B, so if I've read her response, 1367 are typically allowed without town consent. So are we looking for town consent? Oh, darn it. Are we looking to require town consent to do vegetation management, deal with non-native nuisance species, composting? Did she include 4 in that? No, just that's 6 and 7. And we have more comments. To place signs and to allow passive outdoor recreational activities. So now, if I remember right, with grantees prior written approval were words that we added because it was in the state's template, and that we added these words to be in compliance with that. Do we think I remember that correctly?
No, I think there was specific ones that required the written approval, and then we just kind of put the catch-all at the beginning.
Oh, okay. So I'll ask it. Do we really want to get to force grantor to get permission from the town to do each of these? So let's start with vegetation management, yay or nay?
Nay.
Non-native and nuisance species management.
Are we saying we want to keep approval or we don't?
I'm asking the question, do we want to keep approval?
Oh, okay.
So we have a nay on vegetation management, and I'm all fine with that. Non-native species, yeah, remove those whenever they want. Composting was one of those that I didn't feel really great about before.
What are they composting?
Well,
Just
it's
stuff
stock.
they've
Yeah.
cut on the premises.
I mean, if they're actually going to do vegetation management and non-native stuff, they're going to need to do something on site. So that plus whatever treeing they're doing. I'm sorry, I think I cut you off, Skip.
No, so it just, this composting is gonna be just rabbit habitat and wildlife.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, I ain't got no problem with that.
And I think if it does come up, as a problem in the future, if the stockpiling gets out of control, that's when we can still take enforcement action. So
Right.
it's not taking away any of our ability to say that's a little bit too big of a stockpile.
So what do we think about wildlife habitat improvement?
I don't think she put that one in there, did she?
That was not in the list, but I'm just going to ask about each one, so we treat each one the same.
Well, I don't have a problem. They want to improve it, but I don't see what improvements they're gonna do for Mother Nature.
Well, there's that, but there's also, if they do think they're going to do it, should the town have the right for review?
I think yes, because I think that one's such a more broader thing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Melissa.
And if nothing else, like or the commission should be able to review, wildlife habitat plans for comments as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like theoretically, it shouldn't be a problem, but it'd be nice to have input on improvements.
So in order to do archaeological activities, it's approval in writing by grantee. So we don't need to say anything. We don't need to change this one. It's already got it. Right?
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
Six. Okay, so there are two things. One is that this is on the list of things that the towns don't normally require approval for, but then the town may choose to limit the size of signs.
And I think that's what we were thinking of when we wanted it to be with approval from us. I could be making up that discussion, but
No,
sounds reasonable to me.
I think you're right, Melissa. I vaguely remember that the size coming up as a discussion point when we talked about this. Yeah.
All right. I admit I'm doing this the easiest way possible, comma, paste that thing. There are certain areas of the property that are more ecologically sensitive. The town could choose to limit recreational use of the property to other portions. Well, what I'll say is this property isn't that big.
yeah, and it being just passive, it's non-motorized, so I wouldn't,
Yeah, I don't even think we need to approve it, especially since we don't want to put a 60-day wait to run around the field.
We gotta wait 2 months to go hiking.
So they have to let us know now so that by February, March, April,
Yeah.
they can walk. Oh my God, what an insane run-on sentence this is. I don't even know where to, I mean, I think this is all one sentence. So let's make it even worse. Because this is one I really think we want to know about.
I agree.
Oh. So this is 2B. Oh, I see. And then you have to see paragraph XI. Oh, awesome. So does the town need to be notified of site restoration work for any of the rest? I mean, this is really just restoration after any of these other things. So this really would only apply to things, because if they need to do site restoration as a function of forestry and cutting, then we would know that when they notified us about forestry and cutting, right?
Right.
I would think so.
And if they need to do restoration based on, let's just pick vegetation management.
You could always put that one as not the written prior approval, but just notice. Because there's a difference between grantee's notice and grantee approval. And that could be something that maybe it's not one of those that we require approval for, but it would be nice to get notified so that if we do have a problem, we can respond, or at least that we know something is coming. Does that make sense?
Yep,
Yes.
it does.
Okay. And then that way it kind of is the catch-all, which, you know, they don't have to wait the 60 days, but in case, you know, there is something that's kind of fallen through the cracks, then we still get notified, you know, 2 months before.
Yeah. And again, if it's just notice, we don't need 2 months. But I did say prior notice, so.
Yeah, I think the notice is still 60 days prior. We just don't need to respond unless we have something against what they're saying.
Ah, okay. Access of any right reserved by grantor in this paragraph should be in compliance. Yeah, I don't think we need to modify 10 at all.
No.
Mm-mm.
BMPs, come on. That's not a place we don't even need to talk about it. Or we don't need to talk about grantee notice or grantee permission. Okay. What else did she write? 2B 9, 10, 11 set forth conditions the owner must comply with. The owner should not be required to. Oh. 9, 10, so we shouldn't have it for 9, 10, 11 is what she says. I believe it's a she. Oh, sure, 9, 10, 11. We just went over those.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have to do anything about those. Yes, I agree. To obtain town's prior written consent prior to exercising some rights that have a greater likelihood of damaging the property, consider requiring the owner to give the town prior written notice We're exercising some rights, but not the town's. Oh, I see. And
Which is what I just said, I think. So
yeah, I think it's exactly what you just did. That is just awesome.
good to know we're all on the same page.
So let's just see if there are any other comments or mods. Oh boy. So the blue are Sheeran's or Attorney Everett's modifications. But that's, yeah, I don't think I have a problem with any of these mods.
No.
Jared, Melissa?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
Oh boy. Back up and add a little context. Grantee agrees that except an emergency, grantee shall not take actions, remedy, or abate any violation hereof unless grantee is given grantor written notice of the violation and grantor has failed to cure the same within 30 days, excuse me, from said notice, or if the violation is under the cannot reasonably be cured within said 30-day time period, grantor has failed to commence the cure within the said 30 days, or failed to pursue it to completion within a reasonable time frame not to exceed an additional 30 calendar days, provided the grantor ceases the objectionable actions and grantee determines that there is no ongoing diminution of the conservation values of this conservation restriction. That's a lot of words to say. If you guys don't act quickly enough, we will, and we're allowed to. And here's the time period. So there you go.
So leave it there and let it go.
Yep, I'm fine with it. I have no problem with this.
Yep.
Okay, she took out extra words. I like removing words from legal documents. Okay, yep. And if you're like me, I'm sure you remember every one of these original words. That's ours. Hey, she didn't mark up property markers. Now, I do believe we need wet signatures for this, but there's stuff that has to happen before we sign this. So I'm going to make a pass over this for publishing niceness, making sure there aren't silly page breaks. And other than that, oh wait, what else? We spelled something wrong. Oh no, not that. Probably spelled encumbrances all manner of wrong. Yes, I can see where it was too. So other than that, I think it's time that the commission vote to send this document off to grantor for their review and process before we can get it back and sign it.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Clark.
Aye.
Danza.
Aye.
Gentillucci.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Awesome. So now, hold on, let me do a proper file. Save as. Oh, no, it's not. This. States. Well, I'll just leave it that name for now and I'll rename it later. So since that's moved and done, then that conservation restriction is ready for others and not us. Okay, now, hey, we're out of the way of something once I send it off, we're out of the way. Okay, emergency certification for beaver removal at Noble Hill. I did exchange emails, and the health agent did consider it an emergency, did sign off on the beaver removal, and it has already happened. So we as a commission should probably just sign the whole thing and move on with our day. I don't think we have anything else to do, right, Melissa? Am I wrong about that?
You are not wrong.
Okay. Then I'll take a motion to sign the emergency certification for beaver removal. We'll just call it Noble Hill, but there was an address on the original, but we know what that one is.
So move, Peter.
I'm just trying to, hold on, I'm just trying to figure out if this is one that I should sign. On
Yeah, you
behalf of
can
the
sign it.
What's that?
You can sign it.
Okay.
It's just beavers, come on.
And we've already adopted, approved, whatever, as a whole commission, so we're all set. So I think I heard, did I hear a second also?
Yep.
Okay, then Clark.
Aye.
Danza.
Aye.
Gentilucci.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Awesome, 7 o'clock, moving on.
Don't jinx it.
No, I know. Oh, I know. But the good news is we don't have any members of the public, so nobody else is going to say anything about the CPA. So
I said don't jinx it.
That's right.
How long have you been doing this? Don't you know by now?
I know. And in fact, I know everybody in the next room over who are doing all the TV work are saying, shut up and just move on. Community Preservation Act. So as Skip knows, I introduced this topic to the select board. I had already introduced it to the planning board. And we all agreed we should talk to AgCom. So I will send them a letter because they always meet at the same time we do. So I have to do this in a paper trail-y kind of way. What I told the select board was that I was going before I, as not a member of the Conservation Commission per se, but as a citizen, was coming before the select board, the planning board, and AgCom, asking for whether or not they would each support the Community Preservation Act, and if so, we would move forward with a warrant article for this annual town meeting. I also told the select board that if any of these groups do not say that they will support it, then I'm killing it. And I won't do it without support of all of them, because it's already going to be a hard enough battle fighting the residents of the town or convincing the residents of the town of the reason for it and the good things that can happen because of it. And if I don't have support from all the boards, I'm not even going to try with the residents. So that's what I have done on this so far. Has anyone else done any thinking about the CPA?
So Peter, the monies that the town are giving the Ag Commission, they're gonna merge these two together, make it one unit, or are they gonna just let them run off by themselves?
There are actually 3 accounts, Skip. Well, there are today 2 accounts. There's one for preservation that the town hasn't funded in several years. There's one for ag that just got started up, and Concom is responsible for our fund, and AgCom is responsible for their fund. And were we to pass the CPA, there would be a third fund because they must be segregated. And not only is the third fund, there's another committee in town to manage the fund. So it's three groups managing 3 funds that probably can't be merged into a single one.
Correct.
At least not easily. Now, having said that, for an action to take place, it could be possible. It is entirely reasonable for monies to come from the CPA fund and the Concom fund and the AgCom fund. We would just have to individually vote to throw our money in for that project. Clear as mud?
Yeah, okay. I don't know, I just think so.
It is a ton of overhead. I would actually submit that if we did the CPA, that we could shut down the conservation fund.
Well, that,
And therefore it would never come up yearly at budget time as something that the town isn't going to throw money into. And depending on how much money's in there, it could be good seed money for something else. I don't know. We'd have to see what the law says about that fund to know what we could do with it if we decided we weren't going to move forward with any projects there and only do it through CPA.
okay.
I know, excuse me, the reactions I have heard from AgCom suggest that they are very interested in seeing the money in their account grow and that they have control over it. Okay, they're not wrong to want that. Let them. I look forward to the day when CPA and AgCom both want to do the same activity. And that's not trying to be snarky, honestly.
No, I see where you're coming from.
Other questions or comments or thoughts? I am not going to ask for a vote of the commission tonight. Because there are 4 of us, and we are the 4 who show up most of all, but I'd like to get 1 or 2 more people in. You know, at least get Bill involved to see what he thinks, because he, in fact, raised an objection last time, and that's fine. I do not want to. I don't intend to minimize any objections, but we can either overcome them, or we can't, in which case we'll fail. This effort for CPA will fail. But I haven't heard from people say that again, I'm not looking for a vote. I'm asking philosophically, is the commission in favor or more opposed to this idea? Or is there more information you need to make what you think is an informed decision?
From my personal point of view, I am for it. I get to utilize this a lot in the towns that I've worked for, and it's done some, it's funded some amazing projects that wouldn't have gotten done wouldn't get done otherwise. Whew.
Yes.
So, I mean, I've always seen it to be a good thing. So I would personally be in favor of it.
Which towns have you seen it work well in?
We do it a lot in Southborough, and it funds, things from the rec department to the historical commission to just maintenance, not maintenance, because maintenance isn't allowed under CPA, but preservation for town buildings that are historic and things like that. So we've gotten a lot done. We have a very active community preservation commission in Southborough that is very diligent in reviewing applications and, ensuring that there's an appropriate amount of money or bonding that needs to occur to get projects done.
Do you know what percentage Southborough has or takes takes off the top?
Not off the top of my head, but I can definitely find that out.
I'd be interested in finding out. I mean, Southborough is not known as a dirt poor town, shall we say?
Yeah, there's that too.
So I'd just be interested in getting a data point. I know the town administrator, I think I've said this before, is in favor of this and spoke highly of it at the select board meeting.
Yeah.
And I believe that this is supposed to be on their discussion, supposed to be in the next select board meeting. So you know I'm going to be there to listen at the very least. And I better talk to the assessor's office if we're going to get that presentation together. Okay. Again, I know that it is controversial, but I really believe it's worth an open and honest discussion so we can, as a community, decide where we're going next. That's it. Anything else on this?
Peter, I was just going to add that
Yes.
I feel similar to Melissa. I would be in favor of a CPA. I think there would potentially be a lot of good that could come out of it. I'm sure the biggest question that will come from, pretty much everybody, including those from the public, will be, what will be the cost to residents to fund that? And if that can be, if we can, I don't know if it'll be we or whoever, if we figure out what is a reasonable amount that actually would make some viable projects, or I think we talked last time, if any land becomes available where we get the opportunity as a town to purchase it and we feel that it is worth purchasing. I think you mentioned that would potentially come from the funds from the CPA, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of good that could come out of it. It's just finding the right balance of, I think, highlighting what some of the good things that could potentially happen and trying to balance that just with the costs to the taxpayers and the residents.
Well, and that I think is the promotional work that would need to be done if we do move forward with this is how we talk honestly about what the costs will be to the people and talk honestly about the projects we see going forward with the money that we would get. And in fact, I laid it upon the select board to decide that if they're going to move forward with CPA, that I would expect them to come up with the right real estate tax percentage to add for this. Because that group is going to be more in touch with a wider cross section of the people than either Concom or Planning or AgCom, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm willing to do what they say. I mean, I'm willing to go forward with whatever they propose for the percentage. And from knowing the percentage from there, it's just math. This is how much the average house is going to go up. This is how much tax is going to be generated per year just from local, plus so much is expected from the state every year. It all goes together with what we'll be able to do and when and how quickly.
Yeah, and I would recommend anyone who has questions or wants to learn a little bit more about CPA, they have a website, the communitypreservation.org, and you can literally go through every city and town that has passed it, look at their bylaw, look at how much % their surcharge is. And I think an important one to note is that you can put exemptions in terms of low income. Like I just looked up Southborough, so they have the 1% surcharge and their exemptions are low income and the first 100,000 for residential homes. So there are ways to ensure that it will not affect the already, low income families or those who might have a more set income than others.
So does it usually require a bylaw, Melissa?
It's either a bylaw or an ordinance. I think I don't know if
an
it's
ordinance
something...
is just a bylaw for a city. That's the only
so it is
difference.
It is like a bylaw, but I think it's only like a 1 or 2 page thing, it just really lays out what the CPC committee kind of is and what their duties are, because it's
Okay.
kind of run under the state guidelines. So there's nothing you really need to, throw a big effort into.
Right, right. Because as you said, it's already written. We just need to look at it and copy it, pretty much. Okay, that's a very good idea. Thank you. Anything else on CPA before we move on? Okay, so Open Space Committee. The planning board has nominated Sean Moore to be its representative on the Open Space Committee. Did we ever get a letter from them, Tamika?
Nope, we haven't gotten anything in writing.
You never wrote a letter to you
Well,
to
no,
do this?
I think that would be Dave in that case. So yeah, I'm not gonna go down for that one. I don't know if you saw my email. I did get a response from the Rutland Land Conservancy. They don't have anybody to serve at this time, and I never heard back from AgCom.
I'll write a letter to AgCom saying that they have a spot if they want it.
Okay.
Because instead of RLC, I'll just use AgCom. I'm fine with that. I'd really like to have RLC, and I'd like to understand why they're not going to find someone, but maybe they're having membership problems right now. I don't know the state of their world. In fact, last time the chair was the RLC member. But I don't know if that's coincidence or not. So do we want to vote on? No, we'll wait until we get official notification from planning.
Do you think Dave knows to do that?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Just because he's usually really good with stuff like that.
True. Well,
so maybe
yes,
he just doesn't know.
I also know that he's been known to take time to get things done sometimes, and that's not a knock. He has a lot of work to do, so sometimes it takes longer than I expect to see things. That's okay. So I think I'd like a motion to, let's see, we've already nominated. So what's the word that we chose last time for someone who's nominated to appoint? I'd like a motion, please, to appoint Sean Moore as the planning board member of the Open Space Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Clark.
Aye.
Danza.
Aye.
Gentilucci.
Aye.
And I'll even say aye. Crane, aye. Sure, whatever.
Don't sound so angry about it.
It's 19 minutes past 7 p.m.
Listen, do I get a prize because I guessed the closest time?
What would you like, Tamika?
Chocolate. Chocolate sounds good about now.
Deal.
If we're going by the Price is Right rules, isn't it closest without going over though?
That's true.
That's
Not
fair.
in this case.
But I'm not saying we are playing by those rules. Just pointing out.
Well, Jared, you know what's
I didn't
funny?
guess.
You know what's funny, Jared, is that my name actually came from the game show, The Price is Right.
No.
It did.
Really?
It totally did. Yep.
That's awesome.
My mom was watching the show pregnant, and she said, I like that name, and so it came to be.
That is too funny.
Neat.
That's a fun fact for tonight.
Well, is there any more
Motion to
business?
adjourn.
There we go.
Is that what you were saying? I'm sorry if I jumped the gun.
I guess there's no more business before the commission tonight, so we have a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call. Clark.
Aye.
Danza.
Aye.
Gentilucci.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Hey, we adjourned, and it's not incredibly late. Thank you all so very much.